The Pixies have been acclaimed for good reason as one of the most pioneering bands of the late 1980s, the alt-rock movement, with everyone from Kurt Cobain to Tom York citing them as huge influences. Now they're back. Their highly anticipated new album. You guys you tore the curtain back this time with your podcast, and what was that like?
That's an inside look of the process of what goes on. And we're funny.
I can tell. I want to see you do stand-up right now.
There you go.
There's
Waka.
So let me ask you about this, though. There are times in the creative process, and I think, historically, most famously or infamously, we saw the Beatles, crack up on camera when Let It Be, when there were cameras all over the place. Did it ever get in your way?
Didn't really get in the way. I wish I was more cognizant of it being recorded.
Yeah.
I feel like when albums come down, they just arrive.
Right.
Like God has handed down this record, and here it is. Seeing it like this, when I first heard the podcast existed, I thought, do I want to hear this? Do I want to know how that sausage is made? Charles, was that ever a concern to you? Like, this is going to strip away the myth? Because there's a lot of myth in the Pixies.
It's being promoted as being unfiltered, but I will confess here on your show that I get an advance edit of each podcast before it goes out to listen to make sure that I didn't say something stupid.
There's nothing like planned spontaneity. By the way, we have a 7-second delay here, so feel free to say something stupid.
Yeah, we have about
we'll beep it. Yeah.
5-day delay or something like that. I have, but so far so good.
Right. So David, let's talk about your producer. Tom's back, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And what was it like working with him this time?
Repeat. We got to know him better even the second time around. But given the 3 weeks recording time that we had last time, and he knows the band as well.
Right.
He's a fan of us, so I think he had a better, I wouldn't say a better understanding. He did already.
Yeah.
But applied the same magic, and we all got along and did his job.
And Paz, you co-wrote 3 songs on the album, so?
3? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's correct.
See, that's crazy to me. It's like, you'd hear the old interviews of George Harrison. George, you have 3 songs on Revolver, and be like, oh, do I really? You don't know? Come on, this is huge. So let's do that again. You co-wrote 3 songs on this album, a Pixies album. That's pretty awesome, isn't it?
I definitely did.
Yes, take control.
Well, we should bring up
100%.
Yeah.
Because you do some lead vocals too, and one of those, Los Surfers Muertos.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Where did that story come from?
Los Surfers Muertos is a story about this wave called Killer Dana that got basically killed by a harbor.
Well, it's interesting how that fits into the whole concept too, because I don't think it's lost on any of you all that there's a bit of a gothic overtone. I don't know if that happened naturally or if it just kind of came. Reading about some of these things, you're recording it in an old church. Charles, you were using a custom vampire tooth guitar.
I lost my first adult tooth a few years ago, and I had the guitar luthier put it in a guitar, a black guitar with only 4 strings on it, and I was calling it my vampire guitar or whatever. So Tom, the producer, and I had a discussion that maybe the next recording session we would do with him would take on a gothic tone, maybe. So I think in the end, the result is that original kind of suggestion guided it.
How have you guys dealt through the years with your fame? At times it was almost famous. And then, I had this great quote from Rolling Stone that I had that I cut and paste and put on my phone. If you listen to college radio in 1989, you probably heard Monkey Gone to Heaven on more than one occasion. If you listen to top 40 radio, you heard a lot of Phil Collins and Poison. You guys were so against the grain when you first came out. It took a while for the rest of the world to catch on. How's that journey been?
It's been pretty good, I guess.
I mean, figuring out exactly where you say. I mean, it had to be exciting. Was a big breakthrough like Fight Club, for instance, into Fight Club when people really started talking about?
I think the big breakthrough, for Joey and I, would have been when we gave. Joey was the manager of a warehouse near the docks in Boston, and I was the manager of another warehouse next door.
Right.
And that was our kind of day job when we first started the band. And I think it's when we gave notice to our employers that we were quitting. That was
the big breakthrough.
That was the big breakthrough, and I guess we haven't really thought about it too much since. It's just like, oh, good, we don't have to do the day job thing anymore. We're musicians, and that, I think, for any musician, wherever you make it in the scheme of things, financially or fame-wise, whatever, the big thing is that you get to do what you want to do.
Do what you want to do.
That's the measure as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
That does it for us this morning. Stephanie Rule picks up the coverage right now.